Hello colleagues. Welcome to our first introductory lesson dedicated to the foundations of AI governance. Today we will lay the groundwork for understanding what AI governance is and why it has become critically important right now, as well as which principles underlie it. In the next few minutes, we will clarify what the term AI governance means and how it differs from adjacent disciplines. We will get acquainted with the operating model of AI governance and its three pillars, and we will connect this system with the lifecycle of AI systems to show how governance is embedded at every stage. Therefore, if you are interested in exploring a new field, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new lessons. Let's begin. Allow me to start with the story of two giants. A large e-commerce company began developing an ambitious resume screening tool. The project was technically very strong, but after several years it had to be shut down because discrimination was detected. This led to reputational and financial damage. At the same time, a streaming platform began developing a recommendation system that has steadily increased customer retention and reduced churn to this day. This difference in outcomes is the direct result of a difference in what the teams considered success. On the left, in the failed project, the focus was on technical accuracy. The model looked great on paper, but no one measured its real impact on people. On the right, in the successful project, the team embedded fairness and safety metrics as key success indicators from the very start, on par with business metrics. They measured not only performance but also responsibility. And as we can see, precisely this balanced approach to metrics led to radically different results. Today we will talk about exactly this. A system that allows you to create successful and reliable AI products while avoiding catastrophic failures. So what is AI governance? The formal definition is as follows: it is a system of policies, processes, roles, and control mechanisms designed to ensure the safe, ethical, and effective use of artificial intelligence in an organization. Put very simply, it is answers to three questions: what decisions does the AI system make and why? Who is responsible for these decisions? And how do we control that the entire system works as intended? Think of AI governance as traffic rules for artificial intelligence in your organization. Good rules do not forbid driving fast, they make fast driving safe for everyone on the road. Here I want to make a particularly important point. Let's clearly sort out how AI governance differs from disciplines we already know. It draws upon IT governance, which provides reliable infrastructure, but AI governance adds a focus on the risks of autonomous systems. It builds on data governance, which ensures quality and lawfulness, but goes further by requiring data lineage and analysis of model decision impacts. It works in tandem with risk management, which controls threats, but expands that concept to social, ethical, and reputational risks. And it adds compliance, which ensures adherence to laws, but gives tools for proactive management when laws do not yet exist and decisions already need to be made. Finally, pay attention to the frame that encompasses this entire construction. This entire complex operating system exists within a broader, foundational context: ethics. Ethics is our moral compass. It answers the question of why we make certain decisions and sets boundaries of what is acceptable, even if something is technically possible or formally legal. As you can see, AI governance does not replace these disciplines, it enriches and coordinates them, creating a single system for responsible work with AI. And this brings us to the main point: AI governance is not just another discipline on a list, it is the essence that integrates and coordinates all the others. Why can our lawyers, risk managers, and data specialists no longer handle AI challenges on their own? Because AI risks are inherently interdisciplinary. Bias is simultaneously a technical, ethical, and legal problem. No single department sees the whole picture. AI governance professionals, possessing knowledge in each sphere, create a common language and a shared framework for collaboration. Now that we have drawn this map, let us look inside AI governance itself and the pillars on which it rests. Before you is the operating model of AI governance. Like any reliable structure, it stands on a solid foundation and three strong pillars. The foundation for everything is a key principle: governance by design. This means we do not try to bolt on control at the very end, when the product is already finished and problems have surfaced. We embed responsible AI principles from day one, at the level of the idea, the architecture, and the development processes. On this foundation stand three pillars. The first pillar is people. These are not just employees but clearly defined roles with understandable areas of responsibility, the required competencies, and, most importantly, a culture of accountability in which asking hard questions is the norm. The second pillar is processes. Transparent decision-making procedures, mandatory checkpoints at key lifecycle stages, and feedback mechanisms that allow us to learn from mistakes and continuously improve our systems. And the third pillar is technology. Modern governance is impossible without the right tools, monitoring systems that track model behavior in real time, automated control tools, for example, for bias detection, and platforms for collaboration. It is precisely the harmonious combination of these three pillars, standing on the solid foundation of governance by design, that allows us to build a truly effective and resilient governance system. And, as we have already said, good governance accelerates development by removing uncertainty. In practice, this system is embedded into every phase of the lifecycle, from planning to decommissioning, connecting people, processes, and technologies to answer key questions at each stage. They are integrated into every phase of the AI system lifecycle. Unlike traditional software development, this is not a linear path with a start and a finish. It is a continuous iterative cycle in which governance must be present at every stage. The entire process is driven by the principle of continuous governance and accountability. Let's walk through it. Everything begins with strategy. We pose the most fundamental question: is AI truly needed here, and what are the boundaries of its application? Next comes planning, where we switch the focus to potential harm. What harm can our system cause, and what risks might we face? At the development stage, governance becomes technical. Are governance requirements built into the architecture and code? During testing we look for evidence. Have we proved the model's safety, robustness, and fairness? At the decisive stage of deployment we make the final decision. Are we ready for a responsible launch and for managing consequences? After launch, in operations, it is all about vigilance. We see deviations in time and know how to respond to them. But that is not all. In evolution, when we update the system, we must ensure its constant reliability and accountability. And finally, when the system's time comes to an end, the decommissioning stage requires a plan to safely complete the life cycle and preserve an audit trail. As you can see, answers to these questions are the result of the entire team's work, guided by a strong governance framework that ultimately leads to the creation of safe and responsible artificial intelligence. We have established that people are one of the three pillars of governance. But this raises a practical question: how do we organize these people? How are AI decisions actually made in a company? There are three basic approaches or organizational models. The first is a centralized model, where key decisions, rules, and approvals are concentrated in a central function, for example, an AI committee. The advantage of this approach is absolute consistency and tight risk control. The drawback is that such a committee quickly becomes a bottleneck, slowing innovation. The second model is the complete opposite, a federated model, where governance and control are embedded in the business units themselves. The advantage is great speed and flexibility. The drawback is the risk of chaos, inconsistent standards, and repeated mistakes. And finally, the third model, which is considered the gold standard today, is the hybrid model, or the center of excellence. Here there is a small central team that does not make all decisions but sets the rules of the game. It develops policies, provides tools, and advises on the most complex issues. Product teams, acting within these rules, retain a high degree of autonomy. This is the best way to balance speed and safety, and it is precisely this approach that most mature companies choose. At the same time, regardless of the model, every AI system must have a single final accountable owner, and requirements for documentation, risk management and data protection, monitoring, and other specific and mandatory requirements for modern AI system governance are obligatory. A logical question arises: We have used algorithms for decades. Why has governance become so critical specifically in recent years? The answer is that the scale of impact and the speed of decision-making have changed radically. The first driver is a leap in technological capabilities. If AI used to be a set of narrow tools, today we see generative models, autonomous agents, and solutions that influence meaningful processes. The scale has changed. As scale has increased, so have the risks, from distortions in data to model hallucinations and synthetic content falsification. The second driver is a regulatory revolution. The principle, innovation first, regulation later, has been replaced by strict control. Rules are becoming more stringent and detailed, and ignoring them means taking legal and financial risks. Previously one could move fast and clear a path. Now, clearing a path means breaking the law with serious consequences. And the third, most important driver is competitive advantage. AI governance has become a source of direct business value. Research shows reduced time to compliance and faster product launches. But most of all, trust. The ability to explain how we make decisions has become a key market differentiator. A simple formula: AI governance is not a cost center, it is an insurance policy plus a competitive advantage. Now let us fix the main takeaways. First, AI governance is the operating system for safe innovation with AI. Second, its criticality is driven by three factors: a technological leap, tightening regulation, and direct business benefit. And third, success equals the sum of people, processes, and technologies embedded in the lifecycle from day one. Thus, we have defined the skeleton of governance, its structure, processes, and roles. But any skeleton is lifeless without a value core, without a sense of right and wrong. If governance answers the question of how we make decisions, ethics answers the fundamental question of why we consider these decisions right. That is why in the next lesson we will move from structure to substance. We will talk about what makes the decisions of AI systems ethically sound. See you next time.